everyone.
I'm Tracey.
And I'm Anton Merriweather.
And we are my Outlander Purgatory. I'll warn you this right now. I keep getting these like severe weather warnings on my phone, so I may have to like get up to like close the window, or you might hear like big creepy cracks of thunder. Hopefully they'll be placed really well.
Or we'll just disappear because we won't have internet.
Yes. So yeah. So what are you drinking, Carol?
I am drinking like the total most generic margarita you've ever seen in your life.
I'm drinking the Hellraiser. I'm back to the Hellraiser beer.
Awesome.
Reasons I will talk about in this video, I'm sure.
As I mentioned to you, I choose life. I choose to celebrate.
We've made it through the rain, you guys.
Get through the rain.
Kept our world protected.
It's all over.
Episode 16. It's To Ransom a Man's Soul, right?
Mm-hmm.
Directed by Anna Forster. Written by writer of Blackjack Creepiness, Ira Stephen Bear, and, you know, head of the whole schlemiel, Ron Moore.
Right.
Sorry, forgive my phone ringing. Yeah, it's a telemarketer. Do you guys have this too? Telemarketers, I can't talk. All right.
Apparently your acoustics are better than mine.
All right. So I have to say right up front that I've only watched this episode. This recap is very late partially because of me, because I had a long-standing commitment this weekend. We went camping with some friends. So I didn't get, normally we like try to get these videos done so we can get them up, you know, in enough time or, you know, right after the episode. It's a little late. Hopefully it'll be worth it. But I've watched it once full on. It was very good. It was good because I got to watch it with my Outlander mentor, Emily, who we went camping with, and we haven't watched any of the episodes together. So that was a really fun experience to get to watch it with her. So basically, I've watched this episode once on an iPad, and then just once on my computer, like sort of like, you know, maybe 3/4 of it, like frantically taking notes. What about you?
I, not realizing that you were camping this weekend, watched on Friday. Oh!
It's all right.
I can't.
Or, you know, whenever you watched.
I'm going to start that again. I watched and had to... I'm going to start that again, too. I watched in increments of like 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, because of unforeseen circumstances. And at first I was really bummed that I had to do it like that. And as the episode went on, I was really happy. It worked out much better. It gave me time to process and deal, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was fine. It was fine. And then I've gone back and watched different clips, but not a lot. I really have. It's not like last time when I watched it 3 times with episode 15.
Right,
so
right.
I don't think I needed to, and you know, I don't think we need to get into too much detail this time around.
Right. I mean, Carol and I haven't talked about the episode at all, so we don't know how each other feels about it. But we have said is we both sort of agree that this is really one that, you know, especially because our recap is sort of late, so y'all know what happened. We don't really feel like we are gonna, like, this is gonna go in a, like, first, you know, Blackjack Panel was freaky. Then, there was cows. Then, da-da-da. We're both going to be the dog from Up in this one. So, hold on. Bear with us. It's all good.
I do have something to say about not the opening, but kind of the second scene in. Mm-hmm. I do have a few notes, but you want me to mention that now, or you want to?
So, well, like, all right. What was your overall impression? Do you want me to tell mine? And maybe that will sort of like...
explain your question. Give me the question.
Well, normally we start these with like, what'd you think? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you love it? Was it one of your favorites? I will say this. I think that for me, this episode, and I'm the one that's always like, the book is the book and the show is the show. This episode was really difficult to watch as a book reader. And I'm going to be very curious to see what non-book readers, people who have no familiarity with the book at all, think about this episode. As a book reader, it was extremely hard to separate what happens in the book from what was portrayed in the show. And that's probably... It makes it hard for me to be objective about this episode. And not in a good way.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. I have the blessing and the curse of horrifically poor memory on my side. So there's certain things that I'm like, I don't really remember what happened. Like, and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but like there's something toward the end that happens and I'm like, did that happen in the book? I really put the book away for this episode. I did. I put the book away. I just had an overall like skeleton in my head of what happened, what goes down. I almost think it's gross to say I enjoyed it for what it was, but I enjoyed it for what it was. And there was something that it was in this episode that was so, I think I had like some kind of experience of some sort that it made it all okay for me. And I'll get to that when we get there.
Maybe it was watching with Emily too, that like, I felt like it was a little harder for me to separate from the book.
Can we just start at the end?
Okay. Well, let me say two things. I will say that when we watched it together, I mean, I felt like we were stopping a lot to be like, what? Or, huh? Or, really? So I'll explain, as we go
or, on. Seriously? Somebody complained about that. I saw it today.
I think they had good cause. I thought the same. Whoever said that, like, it was Jeff Santa Monica, at Jeff Santa Monica on Twitter, I'm fairly sure.
He posted today an awesome post on My Outlander Purgatory, the blog.
But he said that the word pregnant, too, like, was sort of a red flag. Yes. And I thought the same thing. I was right with, I thought the same.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, wouldn't they say, I don't know what they would say, but she would say child. In 1943, and that's probably what she would say. They would say with child or whatever, I don't know. I want to make one caveat up front, which is this. It was brilliantly acted. I mean, everything that was done in this show was done extremely well.
How we didn't know Sam Heughan's name before this is just beyond me. I was like in another world. I was mesmerized by that man.
Well, and Katrina Balfe. I mean,
I know.
Katrina Balfe. Like,
she just puts you there.
In my,
she's like, it's like you know her. It's creepy. She's so good.
I mean, like the scenes with her and Murtaugh. Everybody was so good in this episode. I mean, there are not enough Emmys to go around that they need to be bestowed on. The music was fabulous.
Well, see, that's where I want to, like, there's something at the end that I want to talk about the music. So
okay, I just think the music, like, that
I sort of feel like you're getting it all out because I'm holding it all back to wait for the end, and when we get to the end, we're gonna have covered everything already.
All right. Well, I want to say this because I'm going to say a few things, and again, I'm sorry to all the people who are like the books, and the show, and I can't bring my own experience.
Number one would be Diana Gabaldon.
Yeah.
You read, you and I both posted.
I know.
I didn't, Tracey, you're camping, for God's sake. I've never in a million years. That hasn't happened in months. I was like, oh my God, she posted this already. And I left mine up. I was like, hey, and we might get other people seeing it and commenting. But for those of you who don't know, are referring to Diana Gabaldon's sort of like warning / explanation that she posted the other day. And yeah, she had choice words.
I like to think that maybe what she was talking about were the people who are like, oh, it's not supposed to be Jamie needs the left hand, it's supposed to be his right hand. Or, Claire wouldn't, have this curl over here. We'll talk about, the things. But I know that's what she said. And she's, an amazing writer, an amazing person. But I have to say, it's really hard. It was really hard for me with this episode in terms of what the choices that were made, some of the choices that were made. I'm sorry. As a reader and as a viewer, I bring my own experiences into experiencing the medium that particular way. You do. I mean, how can you not? So I feel the way I feel, and there you go, and that's it. But that said, I it was just so well done. All of those actors are fabulous. I mean, I was sort of dividing my notes into what I liked and what I didn't like, and that opening shot, it told you everything you needed to know about what happened. Well, whatever. But there's my caveat. Go. All right. Ending. What do you want to talk about?
Well, for ending or beginning, because remember, I already said that I have something from the beginning. You just said opening shot. I think you mean the second scene, not the...
No, I mean the opening shot.
Not the red coats.
Well, it's with... You see the red coats, and they're all... I guess they're doing, taps or whatever they're doing.
That's the opening shot. And then we have...
The opening scene, say. The opening scene.
The two of them... Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. And that shot where you see Jamie...
Wentworth. I thought that was absolutely brilliant beyond...
Absolutely.
You saw that, and in a really cheap and stupid way of saying it, ignorant way of saying it, it's like they're in bed together.
Yes.
And I'm like...
Yes.
And then I... So much emotion is brought out while watching this, because then I'm mad at myself for stooping to that level and seeing it that way. But I'm like, they have to want us to see it that way. It was so intimate and vile. It was perfection.
I have written down here, great opening shot, told you everything you needed to know about what happened. Mm-hmm. And you're absolutely right that it was so perfect because it showed you, it didn't tell you, it showed you that this wasn't just that, he raped Jamie.
Right.
That this was, to him, and maybe in an indirect way, ended up for Jamie too. Jamie says way later on to Clara, he made love to me. I already knew that, Jamie, because I saw it in that very opening scene. Do you agree? That's what that said to me. That there had been an act that was intimate, and it wasn't, or intimate in the minds of whoever, that it wasn't just forced or whatever. Told me everything I needed to know.
Yeah, it didn't tell me everything I needed to know. I just knew Jamie and Blackjack were in bed together naked. And I knew that, and it was not the morning, but, Blackjack's waking up and yawning and stretching. And so I'm like, oh God, the deed is done, and you know that this has been going on and whatever. But I mean, no, I didn't. Look, I read the book, so I knew. But
right. But I think you hit the nail on the head, or in the hand, so to speak. That it was that just said there has been more than violence going on here. That there has been, at least in his mind, there has been some sort of sick, perverted, freak-ass love. And it was a brilliant way to start it off.
I also enjoyed Blackjack. We had a little more Silence of the Lambs going on, because boy, was he channeling, what's his name, from Silence of the Lambs when he does his little dance. Got up He got up and like stretched and yawned and walked across the room. And I'm like, oh my
He
God,
didn't go
he's
like
doing
this,
the TV dance. And let me just say it right now. If I have to hear one more frickin' thing about Tobias Menzies' frickin' penis, for God's sake, okay, he was naked. I don't know. And no offense to anybody who felt that way, because you know what? We all have our feelings and emotions and reactions, and it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
It is all good. If somebody disagrees with me, good. I'm glad. It would be really boring if we all thought the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just to the point where I'm like, okay, so Tobias Menzies was naked. It was called for in the scene. To me, I had no problem with it.
I had no problem with it.
I
thought it actually made the scene better.
Yeah, it was natural. It was he's very, very good. He's good naked. He's very, very good at acting that way. And it was much more natural and free to me. So I didn't sit there and go, oh my
when you
God.
when you think about it too, that also told you something about, I mean, we'll get into like, whether or not we needed so much of in that room. But one interesting thing was his amount of clothing and sort of measuring where, what Blackjack was wearing, the more intimate the relationship got. You know what I mean?
And another thing was, and what's the director's name again?
Anna Forrester.
She's like, I'm like, I think I have a girl crush, because when he put his hair back, if that wasn't like so perfect of like, wouldn't you just get up in the morning and just put your hair back? And it was just so perfect.
Yeah,
really good.
All right.
I don't know if it was called for in the script or not, but it was perfect.
Did you want to talk about whatever happened at the end? Because you were sort of saying you wanted to talk about the end thing first.
Well, where are we going? I mean, I'll wait if we're going to, wait there, if we're going to go through some of this stuff and then end with the end, unless you want to jump to the end now. I will say really quick that Jamie lying there at one point when they showed him, his whole body, and he's on his stomach, and all I could think of was Diana Gabaldon, which I think I've mentioned before, at Comic-Con in New York years back when The Exile was #1 on the New York Times bestseller list for graphic novels, and Diana was saying, listen, because we all finally got to see Jamie Fraser, and she was like, listen, everybody has this idea in their head that he's this massive, like, warrior, like, he's not. He's long and lean, like she said, like a basketball player's body. Right.
He totally did look like the Jamie in The Exile. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I was thinking that, but then I was also thinking David, like this is like so artistic, and you know what I mean?
No,
the way they had him.
No, he was really like, I mean, and that was sort of effective too. And Blackjack is like, you are a magnificent creature, whatever. Like, yeah, he really is. And again, everybody's performance so good, so good. And I mean, like, physically, Sam got himself to where he needed to be, and fabulous. But I have 3 things that I need to talk about in a things I wasn't on board with.
Okay, why don't you say them?
But they're big things. They're like big buckets.
Can you say them in order of how they happened? Number 1. And number 2, say them, but give me some room to jump in a little bit. Because they might involve what I wanted to say before.
Well, they're not like events. They're just, sort of opinions.
Okay.
All right, you know what? I have just some notes about I was taking notes when I just watched it this time. Very quickly. The music was just wonderful. I loved the contrast of the chirpy British tune, like the whatever they're doing in the morning, their morning ritual tune, with what was going on, in the prison, and then once the Highlanders come in with the cows, like that music was just it was great. I mean, Bear McCreary, I gotta get that soundtrack right now. Bear McCreary is bravo.
Because you also have to throw in all the other things that we know he's done that are amazing.
Okay. Did anybody catch this? Murtaugh, the look on Murtaugh's face when he's carrying Jamie out. It's Duncan LaCroix, right? good Lord, you are good. You are so good. Oh my God. There's just, I mean, you might not notice it because it's really quick. But he's got this look, and there's like 17 different emotions on his face.
And he and Sam both have sort of perfected the wry smile. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where you don't really know what's going on, and then all of a sudden you get a little bit of...
Right. Yeah, acting is so great. Murtaugh, Angus, Rupert, all like the three of them, and I'll throw Willie in there too. I don't even know the actor's name who plays Willie.
Oh, he's so good.
They were all just so good.
How did you like Claire's Wizard of Oz goodbye?
Oh yes, at the very end, but we're skipping around. I'm sorry, but yes, I totally thought
Tracey,
the same thing.
Go right ahead and skip. We're gonna have to skip, guys.
So yeah, this is gonna be the dog from Up times 2. I'm sorry. I thought the same thing because there was the three of them.
Oh, it's gonna be so hard to say goodbye. I love you all too.
And I'm going to miss you most of all for helping me get my husband back.
Yeah, that was funny. Although, did you like the big Angus, trying to make out with her? It was just...
No, I thought it was stupid and overdone.
It was kind of ridiculous, but, I loved Rupert. Rupert's so gallant. I love him. The whole scene of setting the hand, really great. Really, I mean, well done, prosthetics people.
I will tell you as a book reader, and this is probably what you're going to touch on, I was kind of... again, I'm not complaining, but I was disoriented. I was a bit distracted because I was like, wait, where are we? You know what I mean?
I know. Well, we didn't go back to Macrona's house. And so that was a little weird. It was okay, I mean, I get that they put in Macrona to have this, connection with the pearls and to, introduce the cows.
Right.
But I don't know that they needed it, honestly. If they weren't gonna use him anymore, it was kind of why even introduce him? But whatever.
They needed the cows.
Yeah. Well, but they could have thought it. They could have been they stole cows. That's what they did.
Right.
Remember?
Right.
They could have whatever. Oh my God, the scene with Murtaugh and Jamie where all they do is speak Gaelic.
See, now, don't yell at me, but this, again, The Quiet Man. There's this, I was listening to it. And I'm going, and let me throw in, don't laugh at me.
Wait, can we do it? Can we do it like we always do?
What?
You're it's just like in The Quiet Man. You've seen The Quiet Man, right?
No. And I'm sitting here because, again, I'm listening to this conversation back and forth in the Gaelic, and I'm like, what is this reminding me of? Where have I heard this before? And I'm like, The Quiet Man when Maureen O'Hara is talking to the priest, and they're going back and forth and back and forth. And it's, and he says, and it's, you have to see it for that reason alone. It was perfection.
But the fact that you know, I mean, I want to know what they really did say, but you kind of don't need to know. And it's a whole scene of
I want to know.
Oh, I want to know. But
I think we obviously don't need to know, but I want to know.
Oh, yeah.
Because I wanted to know. He told Murtaugh. I was not expecting that.
I mean, what I think he said is, I can't be with Claire anymore. I mean, I think that was actually pretty close. I'm getting that was
told him. I guess unless
he wasn't, and we'll get into this, but he wasn't telling Murtaugh that he needs to die, right?
Put it this way: was he telling Murtaugh what happened to him, or did Murtaugh totally, completely know when he saw him? Because Murtaugh covered him with the blanket.
Well, it wasn't his, junk was cut up or whatever. I mean, his junk was exposed, I guess, because he was naked. So I guess
he was buck naked in prison, laid out But
how would Murtaugh? I think everybody pretty much guessed what happened.
Here's another thing, Tracey. I've seen it really just once. The only thing I rewound was the end a few times, yesterday.
You saw more.
What?
I thought you saw it more.
No, Tom hasn't seen it yet.
Oh, all right.
I can't wait.
Okay.
I can't wait for his opinions. I'll be posting those on the blog very soon.
Okay. Now I will say this because everybody who's tried to guess what my favorite scene is, because I think I alluded to it, it's not the hot springs, which was not in this episode. It's the scene between Claire and Father Anselm.
Oh, you've always loved that.
I found to be, and there's a little bit of lead up to it. It's not just like, he happens upon her and he's like, hey, what's up? And she's like, yeah, I'm so sad. Will you have my confession? And, there's a little bit of lead up to that, but yeah, that clearly they weren't going to have time for, and that's fine. I thought it was nicely done. In the book, for me, it was a very spiritual scene, and a lot of what Claire struggles with throughout the book in terms of, the choice that she's made and the morality of it, and the fact that she's, she's hurt. She's no matter what she does, she's gonna hurt somebody. Emotionally, not like physically, like blackjack. And to be forgiven, like that, just to me, like really touched me in a way that, like it's my favorite scene. So I thought it was good. I will say this: that all those brother dudes, both of the main ones. You've never seen Waiting for Goffman, right?
Oh, I'm still stuck on all those brother dudes.
Y'all who've seen Waiting for Goffman will know when I say Corky St. Clair, and you'll laugh, I just kept I was just like, oh my god, I just can't get Corky St. Clair out of my head now.
Me, right out of the Navy, fresh off a destroyer, with a dance belt and a tube chapstick, basically, not really much to call my own.
So that was a little weird, but it's all good.
I'm just glad to see that George Blagden isn't the only one truly shaving his head into the perfect brother, what do you call that?
I don't know, whatever the bowl haircut is.
Yeah, when they shave bald right here, if you don't watch the Vikings, George Blagden, when it first started, he was a monk and he was totally shaved right here.
Mm-hmm. And then I put I loved the moment where they're all like, well, the Frasers have family in France, and and Willie's like, wait, Claire, what about your family in France?
Yeah.
That was pretty hilarious. That was pretty funny. And
she's like, well, I'm sorry, but they're back in the year 1943.
So those were just things that I noted that I really loved in the episode. So all right, so I have 3 bullet points to discuss of things that require discussion. And all right, so you want me to start? You want me to
tell me what scene you're talking first?
Well, it's not a scene. It's more just like an overall impression. Okay, number 1.
Oh, wait, really quick, because
Go ahead.
I seem to be the micromanager in all this.
Mm-hmm.
When he was like, it's like a miracle. And she's like, yeah, no. Did you catch that? When she was talking and right afterward?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he's like, it's almost like a miracle. And she was like,
no, I didn't see that, but I think I was typing that I liked the scene.
It struck me, little things like that strike me as amusing. I love
that scene in the book. I love it just because you can just feel how, she feels better. She's really, it's, it was a little weird to me. Is this part of the book where she's like, it's all my fault, what happened to Jamie? I was a little bit and maybe
how's
she
it
does
her
this.
fault?
What?
How's it her fault?
I mean, I guess if she wasn't, I guess Jamie went through all that to save her. So maybe, but I mean, you know what? Randall is kind of a douche anyway. And
Randall was gonna get him one way or the other.
Yeah. I thought so too.
We're both men of our word.
Yeah, no, I thought so too. All right. My first bullet point is I didn't need to see all the violence.
I'm the micromanager. Give me the violence you're speaking of.
Okay. I think that there was too much in Wentworth. I didn't need to see it.
Are we talking episode 16 or
We are
combo?
talking this episode. I think. Remember, I sort of posed. I'm going to talk, but I'm turning the fan on in this room. Remember, I sort of posed that that question last week, and I was like, I don't know. I have to think about this. Like, was it? Did we really need to see all that? I think we did at the end of the day, because it set up just how bad it's going to get. And it's set up like, yeah, this isn't going to be good. And when Randall says, when we leave episode 15 with, like, whatever he says, like, we've only just begun. Or no, let's get started, or something like that. Like, that's so foreboding that what your imagination imagines is probably scarier than if you actually, spend 20 minutes actually seeing it. I think this episode had way too much. I mean, what's more effective? This whole, why did we need to see Randall with the brand and Jamie doing it, and then him later on, ripping off the shirt and being like, yeah, no, Clara, he didn't do it, I did it to myself. Like, what's the purpose of that? If Jamie's just going to tell us exactly what went down later, I mean, I felt like, I wrote this down as sort of like, this is what it made me think of. It's the violence. Okay, remember that, that situation, I think it's in Ohio or something, where there was, like, some freak, awful guy who, like, kidnapped 3 women, and,
Ohio, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and they, like, forced him to live in his house for,
And he killed himself in jail.
Did he? I don't know, I don't really give a shit.
He killed himself in jail.
I mean, he got what he deserved, whatever, but, me, so clearly that was that was a big news story. People wanted to know all about it, but they didn't want to know, oh my God, like, what did the guy do to each of them? Like, oh my God, like, did he, use the hot poker, or did he, like, do this or that? No, they wanted to know, like, how are the women now, and how did they recover, and how do you know what I mean? Like,
I think you might be projecting what you wanted to know on others, because I think there are people out there who want to know what he did to them.
I'm not one of them. And I've heard,
and that's fine, because you are entitled to your
right. I've heard people say, I've heard, like, Justin reading some of the chatter from the past day, that the, like, positive aspects are, victims, you need to see that because it empowers victims of abuse, or I don't know, whatever. I thought there was too much of it. And it probably goes to my next point, that time could have been spent on other stuff, which we'll get to. I felt there was just too much, like, the horror comes not from seeing it happen, but from seeing how it has affected Jamie and Claire and everybody else. That's what I think. And I absolutely think you needed to see some of it. I'm not saying, like, cut it all out, but maybe you needed to see it, like, quick cuts of it, or like interspersed more with, like, the exorcism, as I call it. You know what I mean? Like what?
The exorcism?
Yeah.
Was this big?
Oh. Does someone have a problem with the exorcism? Because that's number 3. But I was skipping ahead.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts? I mean, I've spilled my. I mean, I'm trying to think what else.
Wait a minute. You want to? You're like,
okay.
You're like, what are your thoughts? Let's move on.
No. I'm I'm looking to see, because I did like note some things that I said about this. I said the reveal of the brand by Jamie is way more effective than all the like, you know, I'm blackjack and I have this hot poker. I'm like, oh, you know, do it. Way more effective to me.
Yeah, that could have been cut down. I didn't sit there and watch it and say that could have been cut down, and maybe after I see it another time, I'll have more thoughts on that. But it didn't bother me when I was watching it. I'm not so disgusting like that. I shouldn't call that disgusting. That's so obnoxious. Some people need to see. Some people need every little bit of detail. So that's certainly not disgusting. That's just the way their brain works. I probably need a little more than you, or am not bothered by more than you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what the frig went on inside that room. It was like when Claire said to him, like, what went on inside that room with him? What did he do to you? I wanted to know too. Like, so, but you're right now that you're presenting that to me. I hadn't thought about it before, but to me, the thing that had the most impact on me was seeing the damn thing on the fire. I was like, and in continuing with our Silence of the Lambs skin theme, I'm like, that's his skin. Like, ew. And then I started, Tracey, this is where I can't for the life of me remember. I have read Outlander more than once. I listened to it on audio, and I'm going, did he brand him in the book?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even remember.
Yup.
And then I was like, yeah, he did, because did it go down like that in the book, that he cut it out? And
you don't know how. Yes, it was cut out, but I believe that he and Macrana cut it out.
I don't remember. Put it this way. In my mind, it wasn't a perfect circle, and you know what I mean? It was like a like carving it up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. No, he in the book, just for everybody's knowledge, in the book, you know, they rescue Jamie and they bring him back to Macrana's house. And Claire tends to him and, like, fixes his hand and whatnot. And you as a reader, and I guess Claire, learn some of what happened in that room because Jamie kind of confides in Macrana. And I think, in fact, Jamie might cut it out himself. I don't really remember. I don't think Claire does it. But this is something that Claire overhears and sees herself. That's what happened. But you never go into the room with... I mean, you don't go in the room with Blackjack and Jamie at all. You just hear about it really later, based on what Jamie tells Claire. But, you know, I mean, I'm trying to think what else. Hang
on. I thought it came out. God, I have no words today. Like, you know how some days you're just on and you're coming up with all these fantastic words that Diana would appreciate, and then other days you're like, I thought it was cool. But like, that's what's coming out. I just thought visually it was so much more interesting the way they showed it to me than the way I had it in my mind. Usually it's the reverse, where I'm like, well, in my mind I really had it. Like you're sort of talking about, you know, you made it way worse. But I thought it was so cool. I hate that.
It's actually being in Wentworth and seeing it happen.
Well, the branding.
Yeah.
I just the actual, I'm pointing to this, the actual visual of it. It was so perfect. That J and that R.
Oh, you mean on Jamie, not like the whole. But do you think that it was necessary to have that scene where it happens?
I don't know that I'm going to say necessary, but it certainly didn't bother me at all. And it's interesting to see it happening from sort of not Blackjack's point of view, but I mean, so from it happening to it being told.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Look, they were trying to get across what Jamie's real problem was, and they don't have the luxury of 100 pages of all of this that went on in the book. So they have to show you as easily as possible. Mm-hmm. So in that respect, I was fine with it.
I really felt it repeated itself. You
just had to know, you know, what there are going to be people who watch that on TV that still don't understand. You know what I mean? That still didn't connect with the emotional turmoil and the fact that of again, it's like if they didn't read the book, you like I said, in the book you're able to understand exactly what went down and why it affected him so much. Oh, he was also affected much longer, and the as you call it, exorcism was a lot more than a kick and a punch. I mean, but and again, they don't have the luxury of all that time. I did think overall, and maybe you were going to say this, I did at one point think this episode should have been more than one episode.
Yes.
But, you know, they're working with, it's Diana Gabaldon. They have to get it all in.
You know what I gotta say? And you know that I really loved the search. Like, I really did. I thought it was so much fun. I loved it. I'd give it all back. If I knew then what I know now about this episode and how little time there was to devote to stuff that I think needed time. I would give it all back.
There's an elephant in this room, and I'm just sitting there looking at it because I'm very interested to hear what you're going to have to say when we get to it.
All right. Well, in any case, I think we agree to disagree a little bit about the blackjack scenes. I thought they were too excessive. I think after last week, we know what he's capable of, and finding out based on Jamie. We don't need to be told to them. They whatever.
I don't know if this was in the book or not, but watching him use his hair to illustrate his cray-cray point of, look, I'm Claire, was so, I just thought that was so perfect. Was that in the book at all?
No, that was a new thing that they. I mean, maybe it did happen, but we never hear about whatever. But like it's new to the story that Blackjack is like, what is it with Claire? Like, what's so great about her? Okay, I get it now. This is how I'm going to get you to love me. I'm going to pretend to be her.
And it worked.
I mean, I guess it worked. Yeah, it worked.
I still don't understand how they spent all that time down there and nobody came along.
Like, would that be cheating for him, do you think? Because he was so determined to get Jamie to love him, for lack of a better word, to love him. So is that like being like, okay, the only way I can do this is to pretend to be his wife who he's obsessed with, then that's what I'll do. Is that enough for him?
I wouldn't call it cheating. I would just call it dirty tricks. And he was, as he said, I'm going to break you one way or another. And he did. I mean,
all right. Point taken. I have to say there were a couple of lines, a couple of clunker lines. I didn't watch all the scenes all the way through, but I wrote down, I just want this to be a pleasant experience for us both. Like, really, Blackjack's not going to say that. No.
I don't know if Blackjack's going to say that or not, but again, non-book readers have to understand that that's what Jamie's problem was. He enjoyed it.
Agreed.
So I think
but in the book, he enjoyed it because... Not because Blackjack was like pretending to be Claire and he was delirious and he thought he was Claire, but because he did submit. I mean, he did. He enjoyed it to a certain degree because I think he kind of didn't have a choice, if you know what I mean.
Well, in the book, he enjoyed it. He didn't
enjoy it. First of all, let's get that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the book,
he submitted.
Well, he physically enjoyed.
Yes.
What was done to him. I didn't get that in the book, that he physically enjoyed what he had done to himself.
Wait, say that again?
That he Oh God! See, now we're getting into some really trash talk.
No, I get it. I get it.
In the show, he was touching himself while this was going down.
Right.
To get through it, he did it to get through it, and he got through it. But then he felt horrific guilt. And in the book, I don't remember him touching himself. I remember him being touched. And just physically had no choice. He got an erection and he enjoyed it.
Yes. Now I don't remember him touching himself in the show, but again, I haven't watched it.
I swear I wasn't being disgusting. I rewound a little bit. His arm was definitely like down.
But is it because Blackjack has it there?
I
don't think he could do. I mean, he certainly is not going to do much of anything with this hand.
No, it was this arm. My point is, I think he was like, find a happy place. Oh God, I'm having Jim Carrey and Dumb and Dumber in my head. He did what he had to do to get through it. And because Blackjack gave him the whole Claire scenario, and he went with it. Jamie went with it.
Let's throw in another very important idea for a lot of these things, okay? He thought he was going to die.
Mm-hmm.
He thought he was never going to see Claire again. He thought at the end of all of this, fine, whatever. Because Blackjack is going to kill me at the end of this.
Right.
So there you go. Okay. Should we move on? We agree and disagree on that.
Yeah, we have 20 minutes.
All right, well, we might have to do another video then because there's a lot more to say. But okay, and this is my big thing. And again, you know, I don't want to be that girl. I don't want to be that girl that's like, the book. But what I have written down here is Jamie is number 2. And lacked the levels of the book. And what was missing was Jamie's struggle to keep from going to the dark place. In the book, for the non-book readers, they rescue Jamie, and they're, you know, trying to, like, you know, fix him, assess what's wrong, He's unconscious, and all this is going on, and they're probably arguing, whatever, and all of a sudden you hear something like, cows? Was it really cows? And it's Jamie, and he's awake, and, you know, obviously kind of in shock, whatever, but, like, more or less himself. You know, trying to be humorous. They set his hand, and he doesn't take the laudanum. Not because he's all like, oh, I don't care because I want to die, and who gives a shit. But because they may have to leave at any moment if, you know, if they're found, and he needs to have a clear head. So Claire sets his hand in the book with no drugs, no nothing, whatever. And slowly over time, you see in the conversation with Macrana that we talked about earlier, where they take the brand out, and a couple other things. You see Jamie struggle not fall into this dark place. Because
he starts off just so happy that they rescued him that he's got his little funny quips and stuff.
Well, I mean, I don't even know that he's happy. Maybe he's not. But the fact is, he's more or less. He's not like, oh, I don't want to die. I want to die. There's a struggle within him to not go there. And that struggle is the most interesting part of all of this. Okay? Far more interesting than all the violence.
To you.
Yeah, to me, yes, absolutely. To me as a book reader, and I have a really hard time reconciling that part of the story to what we got, which was that from the minute Jamie was loaded in the wagon, was like, I just want to die. You know, don't touch me, Claire. I mean, yes, that kind of there is. Don't get me wrong. The book, it's all tied up in the book in terms of Claire and what she represents to Jamie, and how he's just like, I can never be with her. I can't be around her because I want her so bad, but she repulses me. That's all there. But again, he fights so hard to not go there. And you see how he fails and fails and gets closer to that place and closer to that place and closer to that place until he's finally there. And like, none of that was in this show. It was just, God help me. Like, I'm sorry. And maybe this happened, you know what? Maybe he did ask Murtaugh to end it all for him. But like, James Alexander Malcolm Mackenzie Fraser would no more ask Willie to take a dagger and like finish him off than he would, shit rainbows. I'm sorry. No. Thoughts?
Again, they don't have the luxury of time in 100 pages. They have 1 hour, and as far as that goes, they have about 15 to 30 minutes that they can cover that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all super duper sped up. And you also have to be able to they don't have the luxury of the book. They don't have the time and the pages and pages and pages where they can explain this.
They could have if they got rid of the search. Again, an episode I loved, but not important to the narrative.
I will say that and if this is part of what you wrote down, let's just go into it because it's part of it. I was a bit, I don't want to say I wasn't annoyed. I was confused when she went in there and gave him the lavender oil and had the lavender oil and everything. It was like it was like 2 minutes. Like that, I was expecting a good 15. No,
right. Well,
no,
that's
a good 10 minutes of her in that room with him, with oil, with laudanum, whatever it is, with crucifixes, with all kinds of weird ass shit. I wanted floor rolling. I wanted punching.
You wanted the power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you.
I wanted. That was some cray shit that went down in that room.
The power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you.
And all we got was, here's a little lavender oil, Claire. Boom! And then one of TV Claire's patented Jamie kicks. And then Jamie was like, "But okay, I'll hug you." And I was like, "Well."
That's number three. That's number 3.
I was like, "Oh, this just must be the beginning of it. They're gonna do more." I said to him, I'm watching his reaction, and I'm like, "Oh no, he's still not fine. He's still upset. They're going to do it tomorrow. It'll be okay. It's just not tomorrow yet. She's going to go out and have some stew with the brothers, and then my girl's coming back in at like midnight, and there's going to be punching, and next thing I know, he's hugging her, and I'm like, is that it?
That's my number 3. That is my number 3. So, like, can we explore the Jamie thing a little more and then go back to that?
What? I have 15 minutes.
All right. No, because I actually wanted to say that somebody else on Twitter. By the way, I was like, hey guys, like we're gonna make this video when I get home from camping. So, like, what questions do you have? And so we have like great questions on Twitter that I don't even know if we're gonna get to. Because we really do have to end this. Maybe we'll see if we can
I don't really need to I don't really know what else needs to be said. You already summed it up perfectly about you felt that They needed more of Jamie's inner struggle, and it wasn't there.
But I want to recognize Mary Beth, who's at Outlander Gal, on Twitter. And she gave us questions.
Tracy,
but they got to all of these. Was there enough time and attention given to the initial healing, albeit an ongoing process? Despite some good dialogue and performances, was it glossed over? Did we really see much of Jamie fighting back to reconnect to his warrior spirit? No, Outlander Gal, Mary Beth, we did not. Hence the Hellraiser beer. Because there's got to be a Hellraiser in here somewhere. Okay. That scene with the Lunatum and where Claire's going to set his hand, and he's like, I'll just take some whiskey. Yeah, all right, fine, give me the Lunatum. I don't really give a shit.
What are you calling it? I thought it was laudanum.
Laudanum? Oh, maybe it is. I don't know, whatever. Again, no. No, I mean, that feeds into this beast that I found with this episode where, it's one-note Jamie. It's like, I mean, again, this is wrong, and, I'm sorry if this is I know Jamie was a victim of violence, whatever, but I said, in the book, he doesn't take the laudanum, whatever. There's a practical reason, not because he's having a pity party.
Okay.
That's, what else do I have to say? Wait, Jamie would never ask Willie to kill him. even the branding. Jamie branded himself because he thought he was going to die. I mean,
Well, at that point, you've been so beat up, you're going to do what he says.
Of course. So that was I know it was a problem for Emily too, because we just kept being like, what? No. I just think, as a narrative, it's way more interesting to me to see the levels of Jamie's struggle rather than to just be from the get-go being I just want to die, don't touch me, Clara, I just want to die.
Do you think that maybe they were trying to be realistic? They did a lot of research on rape victims and how they feel right out of the gate, they don't want to be touched, and they were trying to go with that?
No. I
did read an article today with an interview with Ron Moore, and they mentioned something about political correctness, and they that bugs me like no other. I don't give a rat's ass about political correctness. Just tell the frickin' story. And I'm not saying about Ron Moore. That was part of the headline of this thing.
I just think that that's part of the story, that the struggle for Jamie's soul within himself is part of the story.
But again,
and it was gone, and it really...
Adaptation. If you want Jamie's struggle, then we have to go back and read the book.
I know. And you know what? That's what I'm saying. If non-book readers, if our friend Blake from Outlander Cast was I thought it was great. I thought it was fabulous, because he's a non-book reader. Great. Mission accomplished.
Right.
For me personally, and I suspect for a lot of other book readers, much as I try to not be that girl, I was that girl. I'm that girl now. All right. So looping back to what you talked about, number 3 is the exorcism for me. Just for the reasons you said, it didn't have the same impact. It was basically, I will say this, in the book, for the non-book readers, Claire, it sort of is the same purpose. She realizes that she needs to be, she needs to kind of reenact whatever for Jamie so that he can get over it. But they're way drugged out. All this goes down. She's got opium. She's rocking some opium, isn't she?
Yeah, she's drugged out just as much as he is.
She has some incense of opium or whatever. So they are drugged out, unbelievably. But that scene is all in the TV show. It was you had a little physical connection like you talked about, and then Jamie was yeah, he was awful, and I can't be with you now. And she said, she had a 12-line monologue, which basically was oh, Jamie, you're mine now, and I own you, not him, and you're awesome, and I love you, and we're gonna be together forever. The end. And he was that's okay.
I know. let me hug you with my one hand. I was did she just get a backpack?
I was what? What? Are you kidding me? And again, I know hard. But here's the key that I figured out. In the book, and I hate that. In the book, but I'm going to do it. In the book, it's a physical connection that scene is all about. I mean,
they have sex in
that.
They
have sex in the scene. Exactly. And it's kind of forceful a little bit.
Oh, yeah. He almost kills her.
She knows that going in. She
almost kills her.
Right. I mean, they like brawl on the floor. He takes her up against a wall, basically.
Ooh, Jamie's so nasty.
I don't know if it's to get the power back or whatever. And all of this is with this big haze of opium all over the place.
Right.
But it's a physical connection. Do you know those two from? We don't see them connect other than this cute little hug that could come right out of fucking Full House. We don't see a physical connection with them.
DJ, get in here!
I love you, Angel. You too, little ballerina.
I'm sorry for the F word, you guys. We don't see a physical connection, and that is so important to that couple and to those characters. It is so important. It's about... Jamie's problem is, I can't touch you anymore, Claire, because you remind me of Blackjack. So what?
All I can
some
hear is
cute little speech is going to, like, cure that? No!
Okay.
He has to be forced into, I am not him, he is not me, and take it back. Take the power back.
Fight the power. Oh, you gotta play that. All right, listen, it's getting there. Can I get to my point now? Because we're pretty much there.
Okay. Yeah. All right, got it.
All right. The thing that I think I even said it in a previous video that seeing the sulfur spring was going to make it all okay. and they're on the boat and I'm going and we're panning out, we're getting farther away from them and I'm like, oh, here it comes. They're gonna
like jump off the side and go swimming?
They're
like
making you think it's ending, but it's not, because all of a sudden it's gonna be the two of them. And then all of a sudden I see consultant Diana Gabaldon. But I was like confused and bewildered, like, but where's the self-respect? but where are her breastises bobbing up and down in the water?
You didn't know that wasn't good. They said, like, well, Diana said in that Twitter or Facebook post, no sulfur springs.
I hadn't read the whole thing. Didn't have that much time. So no, she posted that anyway. So, but I was okay with it. I was okay with it because for two reasons. Number one, you can't go from horrific sex to good sex that fast in one episode, and you couldn't. They couldn't do that. It had to remain the way it was. You still were upset as the viewer. Right, you couldn't then jump to. That would have been like Melrose Place. Like, what's her name has alcoholism in like an episode and a half, and she's like okay now.
No, I get it. I didn't miss it either.
Yeah, really was like, you know what? I get it. It's fine. But seeing the two of them in that embrace on that ship, and then panning back and seeing the ship and knowing they're traveling, I thought that was one of the most beautiful things I have ever seen in my life. Not just on TV or on screen. It was pure art. I said, whoever did this, I will trade the sulfur spring for that visual.
It was nice.
With that massive ship and the time period and the clothing, you know, they really stepped up. Terry really stepped up the costuming for that. Jamie in his full... it was so amazing to see that shot that I was like, I don't need the sulfur spring, I'm good.
I liked the ending. You know, it wasn't
They really took us into season 2. They left us off beautifully.
I
I wasn't mad. I wasn't, like, wanting more. It was a perfect way because now we all need to calm down and you need to process and you need to heal. As audience members, you need a little bit of healing, especially as book readers who've been attached to Jamie and Claire for all these years. You need a little bit of healing after witnessing that visually. Mm-hmm. So I could not have been happier about the way they ended that episode.
I liked it. I thought it was just enough of a cliffhanger. You know, they're going to go try and, like, all of a sudden they've had this realization.
Yeah.
You know, that realization sort of happens in the second book.
He was cute too, wasn't he? When he was like, "You want to change?" Like, really?
I missed our Jamie heaving off the side, I gotta say. But they did allude to it.
They did allude to it,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah, so that was good. No, you know, and they didn't, I'm not going to talk about my idea for the ending, because I think we need to do a whole other video about, like, sort of wrapping up the season and where it's going to go next season, and it has to do with that.
I thought maybe they might open with the Silver Spring.
Well, no, I actually thought maybe they would do my idea, because you're right, they hung on, like, they kept it black for just a beat long, yeah. And I was like, oh! They're doing my ending! And then they didn't, but whatever.
Maybe, Tracey, they're just going to go, and we have to watch out for spoilers.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. We need to do a whole other video about, like,
maybe
where they're
just going to go in order, and they're not going to jump around like Diana does in the book.
Let's talk about that in another video, which we will do, like, soon. Promise, really.
After we've had a lot of these.
I know, right? Yeah, so I was fine with that ending. I thought it was a little, you know, Titanic meets the last scene, Arya's last scene in the Game of Thrones last season. If those two scenes had a baby, it would be that. But I thought it was good.
I loved it.
But
I wished I could have seen it on, like, a movie screen. When they, oh my God, I thought it was beautiful. But you know me, again, even the ship. I love black sails. I love Turn. I loved it. I just stared at it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I brought it up again today, and I just hit pause, and I just went, oh, look at the looks in their eyes. Oh my God, it was amazing.
Yeah, it was a very nice note to leave on. Like I said, I thought it was a nice cliffhanger, just enough of a cliffhanger for everybody involved. Yes, I agree. It wasn't like the book wraps up because Diana at that point didn't know that she was going to get a 3-book deal, so it, like, ends. And this took some ideas from the second book and dropped them in so that you wonder what's going to happen next in the story.
What did you think about? Again, I thought it was necessary to do it this way because Jamie still wasn't back. Not that he was back to normal in the Sulphur Spring, but what did you think about her telling him she was pregnant? And her being all, I thought it was tiny bit cliche for her to be like, I've been trying to come up with a way to tell you this. Like, it was like Donna Reed.
You know, I gotta say, by that point, I was frustrated with a lot of things, and I was like, whatever. I mean, I feel like, that them not having any sort of physical connection at all was just really not them, kind of, you know? I don't know. I mean, it's like what I'm thinking with Jamie. I'm like, you know, I don't know. This was a different Jamie for me.
You know what, Tracey?
I know book is book, TV is TV. Book is book, TV is TV. But it's kind of like, you know, if, you know, I mean, think of a character that you like in a book. I mean, Ned Stark is Ned Stark. He's not, you know, I don't know, whatever. Do you know what I mean? It was, I get the difference. I get it. But Jamie Fraser, and I don't know in the book that he ever wanted to die. he didn't want to be with Claire. He couldn't be with Claire anymore. Absolutely. And that was really the dark place where he was going.
Well,
but I don't think...
He told her to go home.
Right. I don't think at any time he was ever like, you know...
He was a dick.
He unless I'm remembering this wrong, and he asked Murtaugh to kill him. But I think he asked Murtaugh to get rid of Claire.
He was a dick in the book.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I remember blogging and saying, hey, listen, asshole, I freaking left everything I know for you. I left my time period. I left my husband. I left everything for you. And now you're just going to tell me go the hell home and you don't feel like it?
Here's what I have to say. At the end of the day, Jamie Fraser wanting to die for 45 minutes is not Jamie Fraser.
Yeah, well, you know what? You got to give the man some slack. Look what he went through. I'm sure it's an equally good character, and Sam Heughan acted the shit out of it. I mean, again, going back to the beginning of this video, this is no diss on like any of the actors or the production, because they're doing an amazing job with this show. It's just, I think that I see them now as two different characters, and I think that the book character of Jamie, because of this episode, the book character is quite a bit more interesting to me than the TV character. So we'll see what happens in season 2. You just made me think of something that it was really profound thought. Something that I was angry about earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm. Telemarketer.
Wow, this never happens. Both of our phones. Uh-oh. Who?
Don't you guys think that they need to improve the computer voice of the phones? Because it's like, I mean, maybe it's just we live in New Jersey, but like the computer voice of the phones is just the worst.
Okay, so wait.
Hi, it's 2015. Can we get like, the British lady on Waze or whatever?
I was trying to think of my thing that you just said. You brought it on about, you were so ticked about you said about Jamie and Claire should have been more physical or something in that.
Yes, because like this is what I said with the exorcism, that what that exorcism is about is the physicality. It's not about like, Claire saying something nice to Jamie and Jamie like, oh, you're right. Oh, okay, everything's great now. No, it's about Jamie giving as good as he took. And Claire knew that going in. And Claire was like, this is how it has to be. But again, their connection is so physical. I mean, Emily thought this. My Outlander mentor, Emily, was like, commenting on like the chemistry of the two of them. Like the connection between Jamie and Claire. And I think the connection between Jamie and Claire is normally pretty good. I think that Sam and Kat have really good chemistry. And so the fact that anybody would think that after this episode is just really sad to me. Like that's how they find their way back to each other. And that's always the way. That's always the way with the two of them. It's through physicality. It really is. It really is. So
I guess they just didn't have the time.
Again, get rid of the search.
But didn't you pretty much, that was one scene that I was expecting the entire season, the scene with the opium, and it just didn't happen.
No, it didn't work for me. It didn't work for me.
But I wasn't as upset as you. I kind of was like, all right, well, they didn't have time.
It didn't have the impact that the book did. And again, totally great performances. I mean, Claire's, she the monologue was fabulously done. It just didn't have the impact. All right, I'm going to go through some of these. Wait, okay. All right, hang on here. Why is my internet? Okay. Hang on. Okay. Question. Damn it. Really missed the opium hallucination scene, says Tanya C. At 10C60 on Twitter. Thoughts? Well, we've given them. We missed it too. Yes, we totally missed it too. Let's see. Sorry, this is taking a long time.
Do you feel like putting text up on the screen, or is that too hard?
What of the question?
Yeah.
No, people can just listen. Let me go back to Mary Beth's questions because they were really good. Was the ending really the most romantic scene ever, or did it lack depth? Corny or not?
What was corny?
I don't think it was corny. It was probably not the
Corny
deepest.
on the boat?
I guess so. Maybe.
God, it made me weep. I cry every time I see it.
I was alright with it. It's good.
I seriously cry every time I see that the two of them on that ship.
Mm-hmm. Was it really necessary to convey Blackjack Randall's sadism and Jamie's torment to the degree it was? No, Mary Beth, it was not. Shock value? Maybe. Gratuitous despite protests otherwise?
I didn't see I didn't think anything was gratuitous.
I think gratuitous is the wrong word. I think excessive is the right word.
Hang on a minute, because they're home. So let me say what I gotta say.
All right.
I am so freaking sick of the Game of Thrones comparisons. Game of Thrones has plenty of gratuitous things going on. You with me?
Yeah.
Black Sails, plenty of things that I go, that was so gratuitous. Outlander, no freaking way. Everything is done with a purpose, for a reason, and because it's the story that is being adapted.
Yes. No, I agree. I don't think any of it...
I'm disgusted by anybody who compares it to Game of Thrones and thinks it's gratuitous. All right, I'm not disgusted.
I don't think... No, I think gratuitous is the wrong word. I think excessive is the word. I just don't... I don't particularly think for the purposes of the story...
Right.
It was necessary to see all of that.
Right. All right. So,
all right, we're gonna get to all of these questions on another video.
Yes.
What, can they not come in the house?
No, they're let's sign off
All
before
right.
I hear talking and all this kind of stuff.
So yeah, so this is it for the season, you guys. We plan to be around. Oh, they can go the other way. That's right. Never mind.
I know.
We plan to be around. We plan to be doing... I mean, we were around before the show, you guys. So...
What did you just say?
Are you listening to me? Are you listening to me?
I can't hear you. And I never once said, "Are you listening to me?" How did that come from?
No. Can you hear me now?
Did you just say we've been around for a long time?
Yeah, we've been doing these videos for a long time, so we're not going to go away just because, like, it's Droughtlander again.
Right, we sort of, the first half sort of did because that was a little crazy and stuff, but now, no, it's the summertime. We're, like, rocking and rolling.
Yeah. So we're going to do some more, we have a couple things planned. We're going to do some more videos. We're definitely going to we have to do another wrap-up in terms of, like, where the series is going next year. And we will get to questions of people. Yeah, I already. I wish we had time to go through all of these, but we will. We'll
I gotta go.
We will.
Awesome to see you guys. Hope you liked it, and we'll see you next time.
All right, you guys. Happy end of season.